Alright, rockers, we are back on my 3-year anniversary show here inside the Asylum on BullspikeRadio.com and syndicated all over, as always. That was SNEW from my stinger from their 2012 album, What's It To Ya, and joining me now by phone, my good buddy, the lead singer of SNEW, Curtis Don Vito. What's happening, brother?
Turbo, hey man, always a pleasure to be back with you. 3 years!
I know, right?
3 years, dude, 3 years in the asylum.
I know, right? Where did that time go? I mean, really?
I know, God. Remember when you just started this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was there, dude. I remember.
It was what? It was your last album had just come out when I got started.
Yeah.
It's scary, man.
Crazy. I mean, like you're like bigger than ever, dude. I mean, you're out there just rocking them.
Hey, man, I'm just out there doing what I can to do each week to bring everything in the world of rock and metal to the masses, and that includes bringing stuff from you guys out there to the masses.
Yeah.
And the new album, What's It To Ya, that's been out since August. You know, I love it. How's it going, man? How's the feedback been on that?
Oh, the album is definitely bigger and better than anything we've ever done. I mean, each album seems to be taking a step up, and this one is just like through the roof. You know, we've been looking back at our own progress. You know, the first album came out of the gate and it did well, and the second one did a little bit better. This one is just like, I don't know, double or triple what the immediate response was to the last one.
Good. That's good to hear.
I mean, I guess persistence pays. I guess more people know about us now, but it's doing pretty good. We're really proud of it.
Well, you should be. I mean, I've enjoyed the album since you guys got it to me over the summer, and there's nothing for anyone not to like on it. It is, for those that read my review of the album back in August or whenever it was I got around to writing it, it's a SNEW album. You know, you guys definitely kept your sound in it. It's not like you guys went in a different direction.
No, we can't see us ever really taking any major departures. You know, this is what we do, and we love it so much. You know, I mean, it's kind of like, for me, I may have said this before, but the whole reason I do this is kind of the same reason you do your show, and you stay on top of metal and all that, is because I want more of this kind of music. And I'm not looking to, make some great artistic statement or something. Sometimes we get criticized for, just doing, something that you've heard before or whatever. But that's the whole point. I want more of this kind of music. And so why not get out there and do it myself? Let me add to the pile, because I want to hear more.
Well, that's always been what it's about. Everyone wants great rock and metal.
Yeah, I'm a fan, It's more about just being a fan of this music, and the fact that I'm together with some guys who feel the same way I do, and we've got, a knack for actually being able to create something that we want to listen to, and so that's what we're in this for.
And that's really what comes across. It definitely comes across on the album. It's a unit on the album. It's not like where you can hear certain albums where one person stands out more than the other, or it's obvious someone's got more talent than someone else. With you guys, it's a definite sound on the album that it's all of you working together as one, as opposed to 4 of you working in 4 different studios and filtering it in.
Yeah. No, we definitely work as a unit, and we're all on the same page. We all like the same kind of stuff. Each guy brings his own personality to the table, but we're all working towards the same goal, and it's all about, does this song rock? Hell yes. So, it's going on the album. If you get an idea that's maybe, we kick it to the side, because, I hate it when you get an album that's got, that's got like, 2 or 3 great songs and the rest of it sucks.
No, it's the truth.
I could not imagine putting out an album that every song isn't just like, yes.
Yeah, you got
yeah, and at this point we're putting out an album every couple of years. And,
I was just checking my...
And it, and that gives us... that gives us, plenty of time to make sure that every song is worthy of being on the album.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and if the next one takes us 3 years, we won't put it out unless every song, it doesn't have Skip written next to it.
Yeah.
Skip. Oh, the good song, Skip. No, everyone's got a row.
Yeah, well, I remember when I had you on about a year ago, we had spoken on here, and originally the album was slated for February. And then I remember talking to you not long after I had you on here inside the Asylum, and you said to me, we pushed it back. We don't like the way this sounded, we don't like the way that sounded.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, because originally it was supposed to come out way earlier, but we just can't. Unless it's done, unless it's lives up to our own expectations. It's not. We're not putting it out.
But that's refreshing to hear, because how many artists nowadays take the time to make sure it's right? I mean, everyone knows there's still a discussion going on, if you will, about Metallica's last studio album, Death Magnetic, that it was overproduced, that they overdid it with the volume, and you can hear it. I listened to it on a pair of Bose headphones, which are very detailed, and you can hear it's overproduced, but you guys definitely took the time to make sure it was exactly the way you wanted it.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's definitely, I mean, along with our longtime producer, Bobby Osinski, we worked with Ken Scott, who, I mean, that was, like a dream come true. I mean, growing up, being, the rockophile that I am, I mean, it's just getting into all the history of rock and roll, and when Bobby said, what do you guys think about working with Ken Scott? You know who that is? I said, yeah, it was Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, and Aladdin Sane, my 2 favorite David Bowie albums, and, this guy's worked with everybody. He worked on the Beatles' White Album. I mean, this guy's a legend, and when he said, I think I may be able to get Ken Scott, I said, don't tell me that unless you mean it. Don't fuck with me. He says, no, because Bobby actually co-wrote his new book, his Ken's biography. It's called Heavy Road to Ziggy Stardust. And it's an amazing book. It's just loaded with stories about him working with Jeff Beck and Elton John and Missing Persons. And, it was just all the bands he's worked with. And Bobby co-wrote it with him. And he says, I'm working with Ken Scott, and I played him your stuff, and he really likes it. I said, if you can get him, that would be amazing. And Ken was totally up for it. So, I mean, having Ken in there, just, I don't know, to me, I feel totally, legitimized. Like we released an album that's, part of Ken's catalog. It just, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm, in that category somehow.
Well, you guys are. I mean, I've said for years since I first met up with you guys with the last album, and you guys came here for some shows in the New York area. I've always said that you guys had an old school sound. It's not like you're a band from the 90s or early 2000s that were trying to rediscover the rock and metal scene with your own sound. You guys always had that, you're a new band, but you've got that old school sound, that AC/DC and Kiss style that a lot of us grew up.
Which is what it's all about, for us anyway. And well, let me just speak for myself, because the other guys aren't here, but I know they pretty much feel the same way. My favorite period of music is the 70s. And, when all those bands, like AC/DC came out of the 70s, and Kiss, and, you get Sabbath and Zeppelin, and, that's when all that music, really came together and formulated the foundation of everything that we know today as hard rock and metal. And, there's been some great bands that came out of the 80s and 90s and on, but that's where it started. So I like to look at the foundations of rock and roll and what made it great. And that's what I base everything SNEW does on, is, the foundations,
Oh, I agree completely. I'm just looking at the lineup here. Clever Girl, I remember you telling me that was a big hit at Oklahoma this summer.
Yeah, that one really went over, especially with the girls out there. The Midwest, that area is really, big on us, and I think we appeal to that kind of crowd. And the Midwest and through the East, where you are, and up in Philly, I know we got a bunch of fans up there. We got to visit there sometime, maybe next year. But I know we got a lot of fans up there. It's just more so than where we are. For whatever reason,
really?
Our fans are further out. We got to travel hundreds of miles to reach where our biggest fans exist. They're not really here as much.
Well,
sure we got some. We get some friends out here and whatever, like what we do. But most of our fans are like further east.
Well, I find that interesting because a lot of people in within the industry. And, not myself, because I'm biased, of course, to being in New York and being an East Coaster. But I've heard several times over and over again, when it comes to rock and metal, if it's not out west in California, it's not worth doing. Everyone's always saying, well, that's where all the bands are living, so that's where the scene is. And yet here you are saying it's the other way around.
Totally. There's still the music industry, exists here as far as where, most of the labels are based, and, all the entertainment stuff is out here in LA. Yeah, but this isn't where the scene is, where, the fans are. Wherever the fans are, that's where the music scene is. Who cares about the business? Business is all in disarray right now anyway. It's about the fans. And we hear from people everywhere but here. And Europe, and Canada, and everywhere but here, really.
Well, Europe has always been...
It's a trip, so that's why we're planning a tour right now, and we're not even doing any LA dates. Our first show's in Vegas, and then we're moving to Texas, and then on all the way to Florida, covering all the southern states, while we're in the winter months. And then after that, when we get back, we're going to start planning to go up north and hopefully, to New York and Philly and all that.
Has there been...
spring and summer.
Yeah. Has there been any talk of you guys going back to Oklahoma for 2013? Because I know that was big.
I can't. We don't have it booked at this point, but I've actually been talking. I've been talking to some people, some of the organizers, and maybe getting onto one of the bigger stages next year.
Hey, cool, man.
So keep your fingers crossed, because we had an amazing time.
No, I will.
Let me tell you, the crowd there, and we met people who traveled from all over, even people from New York, who came to Rocklahoma. They said they come every year, and it was just a blast.
That's the one
we were blown away.
Yeah, I've never been. I've heard of. I love the idea of it. And I saw a bunch of video from you guys from out there, and it really looked like you guys had a ball, and
really good.
Talk about being in your element.
100%. Let me tell you, 100%. And we're going to go back every year if they'll have us, because it was dynamite. And there really aren't that many, big shows like that right anymore.
If you think about it,
there's a few, but not for our kind of music. Where it's a big, massive festival.
Right. I mean, Ozfest isn't what it used to be. I mean, when I was, not to date myself, but when I was in high school and even in college, the big thing every year was Ozfest, and it wasn't just a metal thing. It was also, the rock bands got in on it, and some of the punk bands got in on it, and then it kind of died out. And outside of Rocklahoma, I think all we've had in the recent years was the Big Four, and that was only here on the East Coast, and then out west, so there's really nothing like that anymore other than Rocklahoma. Kind of a shame, really.
Yeah, and that's why, it's attracting people from all over the country, because they know they can count on it, just totally rocking every year. And we really had our eyes open, just not only by playing there, but by being at the event. We were there all 3 days, and we hung out, we talked to people, and we had just a great time. And I wish there were more, because not everybody can make it to Oklahoma. We need more of those kind of things.
I mean, we had. I didn't go, but we had the Orion Music Festival, the one that Metallica put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go there. I thought about going to it. I just couldn't work it out. But, I mean, it really is a great way for our community to kind of get together and prove that we're all of the same, cut from the same cloth, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I love most about, like the metal community, is that when we're all together, it's all about just having a good time, and we're all there for the same reason. And, at Rocklahoma, when you get 40,000 people together, you expect, maybe there's going to be trouble here and there. Everybody was just having a good time. There wasn't one fight that we saw. Nobody, getting upset or angry. I mean, people were getting drunk and wasted and everything, but they were having fun, and nobody was causing trouble. Everybody was just there for the same reason, just to, throw up, the horns and go, yeah! It was amazing. And that's one of the things about the metal community, right? Oh. We're all. If you're one of us, you're a brother, you're a sister.
Exactly. I mean, I've noticed that. For years going to shows. I mean, even just recently, my listeners know I was at Megadeth a few weeks ago at the House of Blues in Atlantic City, and there I was, wheelchair and all, front row, right up against the railing. And, everyone kind of around me. There was a woman next to me, also in a wheelchair, right up at the front at the railing. And everyone kind of, there was this group of us. It's like there was about 10 or 12 of us. And it was like all right, here it is. We're all here. We've all been here since the beginning, and you guys need to be protected. So we got your back, and we're all going to enjoy the show. And
isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now, and I always see things like that, because I've been doing this a long time, and it's always been that way. Doesn't matter who you are, or where you're from, or what condition you're in, or what your needs are. You need somebody to watch your back. You're one of us, so we're going to take care of you. It's always been that way, and it's just I don't know if enough people even know, because people have people who aren't metalheads. They think, oh, it's those metalheads, they're a bunch of troublemakers or whatever. No, we're the most supportive people on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And when it comes down to it, we believe in a good time and doing it the right way. Everyone gets, like you said, everyone gets that mentality. Oh, they dress in black and they got long hair and they're covered in tattoos. And meanwhile, you could run into that guy in a doctor's office a week later and not know it was him because he's wearing a doctor's outfit, his hair is maintained.
It's true. Yeah, they go back into their normal lives and you have no idea.
Yeah.
And you run into people. I ran into a guy who's actually become kind of a friend since Rocklahoma. We were out there and we were driving in to Rocklahoma, and we stopped at a Waffle House. It was late at night. It was like, I don't know, we must have pulled in there like 4:30, and we were all hungry, and it was the only place that was open. We stopped in, and there was a guy there, and he knew we were in a band, and he came up and talked to us, and we got to know him. We gave him the album, and then we ran into him at Rocklahoma. It turns out this guy's a lawyer, and he's just like, all of a sudden he's a friend, I listened to that album on my way driving into Rocklahoma, and you guys rock, and
That's amazing.
And this guy's a lawyer out. I think he's in Philadelphia, and he's a lawyer, But on his time off, he's a rocker.
That's what I love. Is you never really know who you're standing next to at a show.
I know.
People have no idea. They think that everyone at these shows are regular, everyday, 9-to-5ers. Meanwhile, like you said, the guy was a lawyer.
Yeah. Rock and roll is just it's a galvanizing force, and people don't even understand that. And we get treated like, rock and roll is not big anymore or whatever. It's all about Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber. Yeah, my ass. If they had any idea how many of us there were out there, and the fact that we're all willing to spend our last dime for the music we love, they'd be putting their focus on us. they're missing out, But the hell with the corporate system.
No, it's true.
They don't get it. They don't get it, but we're out there by the billions.
We are. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got a request last week that I'm going to get to later on in tonight's show for some early Megadeth, and we're talking their first album. And if the girl who requested it is listening, she knows what it is, and I'll get it on for her later on in the show. But it's from their first album, which I didn't have, and I ran onto Amazon to try to track it down, because you know me, I'm all about physical copies of an album. I couldn't even find it on iTunes. Killing is my business from Megadeth is not even on iTunes.
It's not?
No.
What's up with that?
I have no idea. You would think it is, and it isn't. And I ran to Amazon, and I found an original pressing of their first album on CD, and I almost bought it even though it was $60. for an original CD. Luckily, I found the remastered version from 2002, which was way more affordable. But here I am, a regular, everyday person who's a fan of the music that was a button click away from spending $60 on the first album from one of the landmark bands in the business. And yet, the corporations go and throw their money behind a pretty face over talent.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess it's always been like that, you know, pushing the pop artist or whatever. But now it's worse than ever because, you know, I can remember, you know, back when I was first coming up, you know, there was a lot of artists being promoted, and there was a ton of rock stars. Now you've got, I mean, if you pay attention to the media, there's like maybe 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Basically,
there's like maybe 5 or 6 famous rock stars or pop artists or whatever, and you'd think that's all there was in the world.
yeah, I mean, basically, if you think about it,
what is going on?
It's the truth. If you think about it, a lot of the major music headlines, and I'm not talking about like Blabbermouth. You and I both know Blabbermouth does a great job of covering everything in our community.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the internet, because if we had to rely on TV and regular FM radio, we wouldn't know of anything that existed anymore.
Well, come on, Rolling Stone magazine is no better. Rolling Stone magazine, unless it's,
I don't know what happened to Rolling Stone.
They're horrible. I mean,
it may as well be People magazine.
You're right. I mean,
it's not a music magazine anymore.
I heard something last year, beginning of this year, or early last year, that they did, or the end of last year, I mean, that they did like their recap of what the big concerts were for 2011.
Yeah.
And they totally ignored the Big Four.
Did they?
And it was like, okay, wait a minute. The Big Four was one of the biggest things to happen. And it was ignored. You know, this year, I think...
Completely ignored by Rolling Stone magazine.
I think I heard something about this year that they ignored Van Halen and Aerosmith as being a big tour this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Are you serious? You know, I mean, I ended up with a couple of... I was actually getting it in the mail for a while. Don't ask me how I got the Rolling Stone magazine by mail. It just started showing up at my door. I didn't get charged, so I said, okay, fine. And I read through it, and I'm like, what's going on?
You wrote to them?
No, I didn't write to them, but like I'm reading through it going, what happened to this magazine? It used to be the magazine.
They gave up, you know, and they shrunk the magazine down to like regular size magazine. It used to be the big magazine. Now it's all small. And I mean, I still have access to it. I look through it, you know, and you see reviews for like, you know, like a 4-star review for the new Taylor Swift album. Are you kidding me? This is Rolling Stone? Oh my God.
Why? What'd they do? Send
when I was in high school, I always, you know, I had a regular subscription to Rolling Stone. I got a hold of every issue, you know. Now it's like, what?
Yeah, now you're better off getting your news. You know, as much as the internet really isn't 100% reliable, you're better off going on the internet and just doing a quick search for your favorite band.
That's where everything's happening on the internet now. You know, which is amazing because it gives you a voice. You know, it gives a band like SNEW a chance to you know, get exposure that we never would have probably gotten. You know, I mean, maybe if we would have started in the 70s, maybe, I don't know. But in today's market, if the internet didn't exist, a band like SNEW wouldn't have a chance.
No,
but we love it because we're in charge of our own thing. You know, this goes back to what I was saying about we're going to make sure every song is worthy of being on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the day, if you were with a major label, they say you guys got to step it up. This album's got to be released, by X date, right? And so I'm sure that's why a lot of filler songs wound up on the album because they just had to hurry up and write something to finish the album. But we're in charge of our own career, and we do it the way we want to do it. And it's like, well, if it takes us another 6 months to complete the album, we got nobody to answer to.
Well, I think some of the bands some of the bigger bands are even realizing that now. I was just reading the other day that Metallica bought the rights to their entire catalog to put out.
I heard that they're starting their own label.
Yeah, they're going to do their own label. Now, here is essentially, if some would argue me on this, but here you have essentially the biggest dog in the yard in regards to the world of rock and metal. Metallica, the biggest dog in the yard, saying, I want out of the label to do it on my own. That
says it all right there.
Saying something.
That system is dead. Yeah. I think it all started back in the 80s when they started, firing all the real, record people in the industry and replacing them with accountants and lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care about music. They don't know anything about music. They just know, what it says on their ledger. It's just like, well, we're not making enough money on this band, so we're going to, axe them and we'll sign another band that sounds exactly like this other band that's selling a lot right now.
Exactly.
And it's just all cookie cutter. And this is why you don't have the artists that came out of the 70s. Where are today's Led Zeppelins? They don't exist because it takes, what they did then was they called it artist development. And a band can release 3, 4, 5 albums and not have a hit.
Now, if you don't have
AC/DC never would have become AC/DC if in today's system.
Well,
because it took them all the way until Highway to Hell for them to really become have a big over the top hit. Well, and that was 5 albums in.
Yeah. Well, even another big example is Kiss. They got ignored. They were bankrupt.
Completely ignored. I know.
They were bankrupt. They were in the red, and they said, you know what? Let's do a live album, and if it doesn't work, we're done.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
Yeah. And they had the time to develop. They released 3 albums, and then essentially all the best from those 3 albums went on to the live album. And it worked, but they were given the time to do that. They knew, the only way you're going to eventually have a legendary artist is to give them time to become one. Now it's like, if it's not a hit out of the gate, you're done.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, if you think about it, too, and I don't know, you guys didn't have this issue, but I've noticed some of the bands, within the last 5 or 10 years that were given the tentative title of, the next wave of metal, bands like Disturbed, or System of a Down, they were kind of on the verge of, say, being the ones in the forefront of what would be the future of rock and metal, and then they decide, we need time off before we kill each other, or what, we just can't do this anymore, and then they stop, and then everyone goes, what happened?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens.
Anything creative, you need space in order to create.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody cracking a web saying, give me a hit today. It doesn't work. You know, even these new artists, you know, these, you know, Justin Bieber or whoever you want to talk about, you know, he's not writing anything. They've got people, you know, producers and songwriters who are writing everything for them. Guys who've been in the business for 30 years, you know, because if it were up to Justin Bieber to have a hit by himself, he'd be nowhere.
No, we all know that. If it was up to him, he would have been done before he got started. And that's kind of the sad part. There's more focus in the industry now about sell a lot of it fast in a short amount of time, rather looking at the big picture over the long haul.
Yeah, and rock and roll keeps getting ignored by, you know, the mainstream, because they're afraid of it. Because rock and roll has always been the music of revolution, and they want to keep us all under their thumb. That's my theory.
And I'm with you on that theory. I mean, you know, look, there's got to be a reason why shows like mine and stations like the one like my home station or both Spike Radio and my syndicates, Rock Out Radio, seeing Rock Radio and Official Effing Radio. There's a reason why stations like that and others are on the internet now, because there's no outlet for it anymore. I mean, even if you think about it, when you think of FM radio and you think of rock and metal, there's only one name you think of, and that's Eddie Trunk, and he isn't even heard everywhere.
Yeah, I know, and it's amazing what he's done. I mean, he's got a talk show, the only one that's ever been a hard rock and metal talk show. And he's what, in his fifth or sixth season?
No, they're up to the one coming up next year is going to be season 12.
Wait a minute, 12?
Yeah.
Oh my God, where have I been? He's been doing it that long? No way.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for, well, I guess that hasn't been 12 years. I guess that's what I'm thinking.
Well, you know what it is? They don't do it in years. They do it in seasons, or kind of basically in parts. I know I have a little bit of TV knowledge from college, but a season isn't really by a year. It's by a certain amount of episodes. And they're going into either 11 or 12.
So season 12, and the show's a hit, and they're not throwing a lot of money into that show. I mean, you watch that show. I mean, there's no big budget on that show.
No,
people love it, and that's because our audience is huge.
Yeah.
Which is why we advertise on that show, because we know we're going to hit up our people. And we've had so many people find out about us ever since we started, you know, advertising on that metal.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's been one of the greatest things we've ever done. Now all of a sudden, people know we exist. And that's because so many people watch that show.
Yes.
It tells you everything. Rock and roll is far from dead. It's, from what I can tell, it's bigger than ever. It's just, nobody's, you know, getting behind it. The system is broken down. We don't have record stores.
Oh, please don't.
You know,
don't get me started on that one.
I mean, my God, you know, I mean, just from a pure business standpoint, right? Record sales are down across the board, and all the music industry is in trouble. That's because there's no record stores. Where are you going to go buy this stuff? If you want to sell records, you got to make sure there's a store in which to sell them.
Yeah, nobody's really. Everyone goes, oh, well, you can get it on iTunes. How many people are buying a full album on iTunes? You know,
let me tell you, people they'll check it out on iTunes. They'll download it. If they're really into it, they want the CD.
Yes.
Even vinyl has made a comeback. People want to own vinyl.
It's true.
People want the actual physical product. It's not gone away. It's just harder for them to get, which is why the sales aren't where they should be. Because you can't go anywhere and get them. I mean, you can go to Amazon, but there's still a lot of people who aren't on the internet.
Not only that,
You know,
but not only that.
I mean,
Amazon,
I find this out just by going out there into the real world, and we run into people who really aren't into the whole internet thing.
yeah,
They're still old school. They're still like,
yeah.
you know, the world exists in a physical reality. It's not virtual.
No, I mean, I cannot tell you. I mean, I think, you know, doing the internet radio thing, and you know, because you're now dabbling a little bit in internet radio.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, since I've done it, you know, I've spent so much time focusing digitally that there are times I'll forget to listen to an album. Like, I'll go out, buy the album, run home, throw it in my computer, run through 30 seconds of, like, the first song or two, just to find out what I can play on air, and then go back and listen to it beginning to end and give my opinion of it after that. And I mean, you know, and plus with Amazon, yeah, you could get physical CDs, but you gotta pay for shipping, and that adds up.
I know that turns people off. And then there's so many people who are used to, you know, throughout their lives of going to a record store.
Mm-hmm.
They still go back and think, well, you know, I'll go buy the album, I'll go buy the CD. But then they get out there and realize there's no place to go buy it.
Yeah. I mean, the one store.
Tragic.
It is
tragic. I found out about a lot of new music just by going to record stores.
I can't tell you how many I've told this story over and over again on this show. When Sam Goody was still in existence, there was one in the mall here that I used to go to quite often, Roosevelt Field Mall. And I would go in there and I would roll around. You know, there would be a certain album in my mind I would be going there for, and then I'd spend another half hour just rolling around, and I'll roll by like Motorhead, and it's like, oh, you know what? I don't have this older album. Let me see if they have it, or you see something from an artist that you heard of, but you didn't know they had a new album out, and it's like, oh wait, there's a new album by this one, so I'd grab that, and I would walk out with 6 or 7 albums.
I can't tell you how many times I did that,
But you
find out about, even if you are a fan of a certain artist, you don't realize all the albums they have, and you're going through, the racks at the store, and you're like, oh, I didn't know about this one. I'm going to buy it.
Now everyone looks at it on iTunes. I mean, don't get me wrong. As a DJ, it's nice to have iTunes when something comes out and it can't run out to buy it in the store.
Yeah, I mean, I do that too.
Right, but
you hear something that's like so and so's got a new album or a new song, and you want to check it out right now. So so you go to iTunes, like, oh, I'm going to download this one. But then you want, it just whets your appetite for actually getting the CD because, it's a package, it's got artwork and it's got,
it's got artwork
notes and lyrics and all that stuff, and it's there and it's physical and you hold it in your hands and it just feels good.
It does. I mean, I can't. I like I said, I've gone way too technological since becoming a DJ. I would go out. I used to go out, buy CDs, come home, open them, put as many of them into my stereo as I could, and just let them run. And I'd sit there and just stare at the artwork and the casing. Do I do that?
Yeah, because it's a whole experience. It's not just what's coming through your headphones, your earbuds or whatever. It's a whole experience because you're listening to music and you're looking at the artwork and you're reading the lyrics, and you're having an entire experience.
And
it gets you, and it gets you excited, and it gets you involved with the band.
Exactly.
It makes you feel connected, and then you want to go see them live, you know. And you're going to the concert, and you're playing the CD in your car the whole way, and and you come home, and the next day you get that album out again, and you're looking at it, and you go, oh man, those guys kicked ass last night, and,
There's just something about it.
It's an entire, it's a physical, mental, and emotional experience that somehow pieces of that get lost when it's all virtual and nothing else.
It does. I mean, the artwork is there on iTunes, but it just really isn't the same. You gotta have it.
No, it's not, because it's just like a little, square picture that, it's, for most of us, it's just like a little, maybe 2-inch square or smaller if you're looking at it on your iPhone or something.
Right.
That may as well not even exist because you don't even know what the hell it is.
Exactly.
So there's no experience there. It's not adding to your listening experience.
And I tell you what,
not in one way, shape, or form.
A lot of really classic stuff is not even on iTunes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hit you with another shocker. I'm sure you know, and my listeners know, AC/DC finally got onto iTunes. But here's a kicker. The original Black Sabbath albums, and we're talking, the self-titled and Master of Reality, those albums are not on iTunes.
Yeah, they don't exist.
When you go to Black Sabbath on iTunes, you get the Dio era.
The Dio era, and the other stuff,
Yeah. So there's a lot of classic albums that, like Megadeth's first album and Classic Sabbath, you just can't get it digitally. And you don't have a choice. You gotta track it down wherever it may be,
Yeah. I know, which would be fine if we still had, plenty of record stores.
Yeah, they're disappearing.
Who the hell needs iTunes? But with the lack of places to actually go if this purchase something, it's like we're more and more relying on iTunes, which that's scary. We're just completely getting away from what it's all about, which is a total package.
Yeah.
There's more to it, and I think the kids who've never known that, they don't know what we know.
Oh yeah, they're like, wait, what do you mean CD? You get these kids at a show, and it's like, let me get to see. You go up to the merchandise area, and it's like, do you happen to have the CD on sale at the show? And the kid next to you looks at you and goes, dude, buy it on iTunes.
Yeah.
When you look at him and go, you have no idea what you're missing.
Yeah.
It's
just,
unfortunately, it's the way of the world, it's the way we are. And it's a give and take.
Yeah, but things do change, and I'm not about just looking back on the past and being stuck. I've never been that way. I'm always, I like to be in the moment. But in this moment, there's a lot of things that just have sort of evaporated, rather than evolving into something, like, if the CD became somehow, I don't know, pictures moved or, a video played when you opened up the cover or something. Maybe I could see that as an evolution, but this is taking it away.
Oh, for sure.
And MP3s, they just don't sound as good.
I got...
Vinyl actually still is the best sound.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've often joked, both on this show and with friends, maybe Lars Ulrich was onto something when he tried to shut down Napster, if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He may have, we all,
Yeah.
we all
I know where he
him.
was coming from.
Yeah.
I understand that.
We all picked
unfortunately,
on
it
him.
kind of hurt him. Yeah, unfortunately, it hurt them in the long run because it became, it's just the way of, the way things work now. That there was a backlash against, the whole internet revolution. It's like, fuck Metallica.
Yeah, meanwhile...
They're not going to tell me what I can listen to. And,
meanwhile, they're on the internet just like everyone else.
yeah. And actually, if they would have got on board with it at that time, I think things would have went a little bit differently. But that's another conversation entirely.
Yeah, that's a whole nother tirade.
That's a whole other conversation
for us to get offline. Yeah, so I don't want to babble too much longer. I don't want to bore too many more people. You guys listening, you guys have no idea the conversations Curtis and I have off the air. We go on for hours.
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg here, you guys.
So,
if they probably had enough by now, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Before I let you go, you said you guys are working on some dates. What's in store for you guys as we go into 2013? What's in store for SNEW, and what should your fans expect from you guys?
Starting in February, we're going to be beginning a tour. I don't have the entire list with me, and the dates are still being added, but we're starting in Vegas on February 13th. And
awesome.
From there, we're heading all across to Florida and back. And that'll be our winter tour. And we're doing a lot of dates. So we're really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun for us. And look for us in your town because we're dying to come out there and rock for you. And so we'll be doing that. And then after that, we're going to probably get back to writing. And we're even thinking about maybe recording a live album.
That would be nice. That would be good. We're
really doing a lot of talking about that.
Yeah,
and
that would be interesting.
What do you think?
I think it could work. I have the recording of you guys when you were here in New York a few years ago. So I think a live album would work for you guys.
Yeah. We'll follow in Kiss's footsteps.
There you
Put out
go.
3 albums and then a live one.
There you go. Hey, if it worked for Kiss, it could work for you guys.
Yeah. Why not?
Exactly, man.
So that's kind of what we're thinking about now. And then, of course, we'll be writing, more songs, and we'll be releasing another studio album. But we're thinking maybe a live album first.
Awesome. That would be great. Something for everyone to look forward to. And get on out there. Keep your guys' eyes on the internet for everything with SNEW. And for when they'll be in a town near you, I'll bring it to you as soon as Curtis gives me the details. I'll make sure I bring it to all you guys listening out there. Curtis, man, thank you for joining me tonight.
Always a pleasure. I'll be talking to you again soon off the air.
Yes.
We'll pick up where we left off. We'll get into that other conversation.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Listen, why don't we go out with something from the last album, What's It To You? I came in with Pull My Stinger. What do you think we should go out to? Pick something good from the album.
Let's see. How about Release the Beast?
Release the Beast. Perfect track. Great song. Opening track of the album. We're going to go into that right now. Curtis, thank you again for joining me here inside the Asylum for my 3-year anniversary. Where does the time go?
I know. Hey, congratulations on 3 years of rocking us all, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Right now, here you go. More music from SNEW and less talking from us. This is Release the Beast from SNEW's 2012 album, What's It To Ya, right now inside the Asylum.